Welcome friends again to this second part of the lecture what we were continuing on medieval Indian literature part second. Now in this part we will discuss the Mughal period, translation, recreations and historical writings. Literature of paintings and music, because since medieval period is full of recreational activities apart from the literary activities, it so happened that apart from the creative works, the literature was composed on the same titles, on the same genre, like paintings were the part of the artist, but they found place in the works of poetry and prose also. So you can say that a pictorial method was used. Hamza Nama is considered as the first of its kind, where we find along with the narrations a number of miniature paintings. It is an illustrated manuscript based on the Persian oral literature of the adventures of Amir Hamza. Amir Hamza is a personality in the Islamic history. And here you can see the paintings or the pictures, miniatures of Mughal paintings on the pages of the story of Amir Hamza. Alongside the description, you find the paintings or the pictures. His project was a laboratory for the development of the Mughal miniature painting style. It was directed by Iranian artist Mir Sayyid Ali and Khwaja Abdul Samad, blending Indian, Persian and later European Renaissance art. So modern day comics are on the pattern of this. So it was the earlier version of the comics. You can see that along with the story, the pictures are there. Another picture on your screen from the Hamza Nama. The work is notable for its size, consisting of 1400 large paintings on cloth, which would have been used for popular storytelling performances. Then it is Mughal album, beginning of the tradition of pictorial narrations. Later pictures used in the books, it was the Hamza Nama was the one of the earliest book, but later on almost in all the translation versions, these pictures were used alongside the narrations. Some of them were Anwar-e Suheli, Sadiki Beg, Mughal copy. Sadiki Beg was the artist who contributed to this book Anwar-e Suheli. It is actually the translation of Panchtantra. Then Ashika. In 1568 from Akbar's imperial artists such as the Mir Sayyid Ali or Abdul Samad, they contributed pictures to Ashika. Then Khandan-e Taimuriya, the paintings were painted by Akbar's imperial workshops produced around 1577 and so on. Then Tuti-nama, Tales of a Parrot, Mir Sayyid Ali, Khwaja Abdul Samad. And then Akbar Nama by Abul Fazl. It is one of the important court chronicles of Akbar. Basavan, Daswant, Mukund, Miskina, Farrukh Beg, Govardhan, these were the renowned painters of the Mughal courts. They contributed to create the pictures for Akbar Nama. Then Baharistan of Jami. Jami was one of the important Persian poets. His book Baharistan also got painted by artists of Akbar's workshop. Then Babar Nama, this is the autobiography of Zairuddin Babar. Mir Sayyid Ali and Khwaja Abdul Samad, the court painters of Akbar and Babar and Humayun also, they contributed it. Then Diwan-e Hafiz is another Persian poet from Persia, illustrations by various Mughals and Safavid painters and so on. Another important contribution during the time of Akbar was the establishment of a house of translation on the pattern of what you see in 8th century. We have already discussed about the Baitul Hikmah that was established by the Mamun's Khalifa in Baghdad, where the scholars from different parts, nook and corners of the world, they used to assemble and they used to involve in the religious and spiritual discussions. Translation works also were done in Baitul Hikmah. Many of the Indian Sanskrit books or great works were translated in Baitul Hikmah. On the same pattern, Akbar also established his own house of translation at Fatehpur Sikri, that is called the Maktab Khana by Emperor Akbar. A major state initiative established around 1574 at his new capital of Fatehpur Sikri. And here you can see on your screen there is a picture of the Maktab Khana. And some of the translation works on your screen is there. It was a systematic effort to translate significant works from Sanskrit, Arabic and other languages into Persian. By translating sacred texts and histories of Hindus, Akbar sought to bridge the cultural and religious divide within his empire. So, two pictures from the translation works are on your screen. This effort was part of Akbar's broader policy of Sulh-e-Kul, that is universal peace. That was on the same principle what he was acquainted with Indian traditions and culture, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So on the same pattern, he also wanted to bring together the spiritual unity, and that's why he started the translations of the original Sanskrit text and scripture, so that Hindus and Muslims and Christians and whatever Buddhists and Jains, they may come together with another and they will live peacefully and amicably. For that purpose, he introduced his idea of Sulh-e-Kul. He intended to foster a tolerant, composite intellectual culture within the Mughal Empire. Then major translation works done during this period or in the house of translation. Mahabharata, the title in Persian title was Razmnama, with pictures, a team of scholars including Faizi, Mullah Abdul Qadir Badayuni and Nakib Khan. Ramayana was translated by the same title by Mullah Abdul Qadir Badayuni. On your screen there is some picture from the translation of Ramayana. From the Razmnama, leaf of Razmnama is there. Razmnama is the translation of Mahabharata. Then Yog Vashishtha, the title of this is the Yog Vashisht, Jog Vashisht you may say, Nizamuddin Panipati. Atharva Veda was translated by the same title, Haji Ibrahim Sarhindi. Leelavati was the ancient Indian mathematical treatise by Bhaskaracharya, and it was translated by Faizi, supervised by Abdul Fazal. Then Panchtantra was translated by the two titles, one is Anwar-e Soheli, another is Ayar-e Danish. Mullah Hussain Wais translated by the title Anwar-e Soheli, and Abul Fazl translated it by the title Ayar-e Danish. Then Raj Tarangini was translated in Sanskrit. Then Maulana Shah Muhammad Shahabadi, he translated Raj Tarangini, that was the history of Kashmir. And then Tuzuk-e Babur Nama, that was originally written by Zainuddin Babur himself in the Turkish language. It was translated into Persian by Abdur Rahim Khane. Then most important books of the Mughal period were those translated by Dara, Shikoh, that is the Upanishads. 52 Upanishads were translated by the title Sirre Akbar. And another book, Majmul Bahrain, on the conglomeration of the two spiritual literature or spiritual culture, that is one from Vedanta, another from the Islamic Sufism. Dara Shikoh, the Mughal prince, credit goes to that person. And some specific books of this time, because this is this medieval period during the Mughal and Delhi Sultanate period. Most of the books are from the Mughal periods. From ancient Indian traditions. Many books you will find, I think that you will be astonished to find that these books were composed during Mughal periods, and their subjects are very specific. For example, Rasa Bhumi, author is Chhajju Shastri and period is Aurangzeb's reign. Its content is musical manual dealing with ragas and their expressions. Then Siddhanta Saraswati, the author is Munir Narsimha, Shah Jahan's time, during the Shah Jahan's time in 17th century. Its content is philosophical commentary on Sanskrit, logic and metaphysics. It shows imperial support to Sanskrit learning even in Persian age. Then another is Rasp Kalp Drum. Its writer is Chhajju Shastri during 17th century. It contains the detailed musicological treatise written for Aurangzeb. It describes raga forms, performance rules and aesthetic principles. Aurangzeb himself was a very good veena player. He was interested in the music, but because of some political reasons, he could not continue it in the court. So, because political boundaries, political description of the Aurangzeb is entirely different from that of the period of that era, where these books are being composed not inside the court but in the regional areas or outside the court. Many people were contributing to the music because Aurangzeb put a ban on the musics in order to preserve the musics and the ragas. The largest number of books on the musics were composed during the period of Aurangzeb. So it should not be there should not be a confusion that Aurangzeb himself patronized those books. Rather, it was the situation of the age. That's why these books, we find the number of books in on music, on the subject of music, in a large number during his period. So that's one of the reasons. Now, Tuhfatul Hind, Mirza Khan, during Aurangzeb's reign, 17th century, Persian encyclopedia on Indian knowledge system, sciences, arts, music and philosophy. So this is wonderful book. Then Tuhfat-e Alamgiri, Bhim Sen Burhanpuri, many writers also from the different religion, apart from the Muslim writers, scholars, many writers from the Brahmins, from the Kayas and from some other religious practices. They learned Persian and they were the great scholars of Persian, and then they composed these marvelous masterpieces. One of them was the Bhim Sen Saxena or Bhim Sen Kayas or Bhim Sen Burhanpuri, whatever you call. These all are three the names of that person who composed Tuhfat-e Alamgiri. Historical record of Aurangzeb's administration and wars, important source on Mughal statecraft and culture. Then another is the Upharam. The author is Gangadhar. He was in the Golconda court during the reign of Ibrahim Qutub Shah, because some regional kingdoms were also contributing to the composition of such marvelous literature. So this is another book on musical work dedicated to his royal patrons. It reflects Deccan's hybrid Hindu-Muslim music transition or music traditions. Then Padmarag by Vidyadhar Kavi, that was very important book during the reign of Sultan Hussain Shah Sharki in 15th century in Jaunpur. And it is another book on musical and poetic compositions in praise of divine love. In early fusion of Bhakti and Persian artistic sensibility, this book is very important. Then Kitab-e Nauras is another book during the time of Ibrahim Adil Shah II. He was the Sultan of Bijapur. The period is the 16th and 17th century. It is another book on Persian Dakhni treatise on music and poetry, blending 9 rasas with Sufi thought. You find the interesting subject of these books are there on which the great compositions are available in medieval India. So they contain the devotional songs to both Hindu deities and Sufi saints, symbol of Deccan's composite culture. Some other specific books would include the Raga Vibodh. Author is Pundarika Vithala, and the period is Akbar's court during 16th century. The content is comprehensive work on Raga, Ragini classification. Then its certain features are early manual for Hindustani music, structure, link theory with performance. Then another book is the Swar Mel Kalanidhi. The writer is Ramamatya Raya dynasty during Vijayanagar Empire around 1550s Christian era. It is a treatise on Indian classical music and raga theory from South India. Then another book is the Kavya Tattva Bodha. Bhagwati Swami is the author of this book. Shah Jahan's court. He was a court poet of Shah Jahan. Text on Indian poetics and aesthetic principles. It continued development of classical Sanskrit poetics. Then Siddhant Sarvabhaum. Another book is by Munir Narsimha or Munis Narsingh. Period is another Shah Jahan's, again Shah Jahan's period, 17th century. And it's a Sanskrit treatise on logic and metaphysics. It illustrates the survival of Sanskrit philosophical tradition under Mughal patronage. So these are the certain masterpieces works. Some other works are also there, because the list is very long, but I can't help myself to tell you the vast treasure of Indian knowledge traditions during medieval period. So one of them is also Amukt Vishaya by Pandit Raj of Jahangir's court. early 17th century. It is a works on the Vedic rituals on interpretation. It shows the imperial respect for orthodox Vedic learning. Another is Chitramadi Samhanda. That is by again the Pandit Raj of Jahangir's court during the reign of Jahangir. It is a treatise on Nyaya and logic schools of philosophy, that is of Indian philosophy, Nyaya philosophy. It represents a continuity of Sanskrit reasoning in Mughal academies. Then Kissa Nalaudaman by Faizi, he was the poet laureate of Akbar during 1580. It is a Persian poetic adaptation of the Nal Damayanti story from Mahabharata. It's a model of Indo-Persian romantic and ethical poetry. Then Leelavati, again we have already discussed. It is by Bhaskaracharya and it was again translated by in the Mughal court, mathematics treatise translated into Persian. It introduced Indian mathematical reasoning to Mughal scholars. Then another very interesting and astonishing book written by Dara Shikoh, apart from his contribution to the Upanishads translation, he also translated the Ramayana in Persian language by the title Nazm-e-Khushtar. In 17th century, Tulsidas, he translated the Tulsidas Ramayana by the title this in the poetic form. On your screen, the pictures are there. It is translated in verse form, and you may see first published in the year 1989 by Munshi Chirag Din at Sirajuddin Press, Rawalpindi. But he composed or he translated in 17th century, Dara Shikoh. The peculiar thing of this book is this Nazm-e-Khushtar is that its every page begins with the name of word Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God. Normally this is the tradition of the Quran, that each chapter of Quran begins with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So Dara Shikoh applies the same principle to the Ramayana, because it is the level of his reverence to the book, to this great book, and his respect for the personality of Lord Rama, because he believed in that Tulsidas Ramcharitmanas established the word Maryada Purushottam Ram. It was not there in Valmiki's Ramayana. So with the same intensity, with the same reverence, with the same respect, he also composed the Nazm-e-Khushtar, and he is starting each page with the name of God. And you can have a glimpse on your screen, it is given. If you can just zoom the screen, you may read it out. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is written in the very beginning of this chapter. And this book is again on the same pattern of Mughal pictographic methods. Some pictures are also there on your screen. You can see that Hanumanji reached to meet the Sita, and he is giving the rings of Lord Rama to Sita. So this picture is depicted on the pages of this Nazm-e-Khushtar. So this is one of the marvelous of medieval period. Then other important works in Persian language, historiography is one of the best genre in medieval period. Ziauddin Barni describes it in detail in his book Tarikh-e-Firoz Shahi. Historiography is one of the very important contribution of this era. And Tarikh-e-Firoz Shahi was written by the two people, one is Ziauddin Barni, another is Shams Siraj Afif. So both the writers are writing the chronicles of from Delhi Sultanate to the Mughal period. Initially, the biography of Prophet of Islam and his successors were the subject matter of history, but later it was replaced with the socio-economic and political descriptions of the contemporary society. So if you see that Minhajus Siraj, the scholar in the court of Sultan Altamash, he started writing the history, but what was the content at that time in Minhajus Siraj? In Tabqat-e-Nasiri, he starts the history with the description of Adam, and he reaches to the Delhi Sultanate up to the age of Sultan Altamash. So it was a tradition in earlier history writings, but now in this medieval period, the scenario changes. Arab way of history writing with chain of evidences was replaced with Persian Renaissance, that is biographies of sultans and emperors, and the chronologies they took place in And the earlier system of the chains of evidences of the Islamic histories and the histories of the prophets, these were replaced by the chronologies of the emperors in medieval India. So a number of historical chronicles were written that give detailed information about contemporary art, sciences, technology and administrative innovations. And on the screen you may have a glimpse of the Mughal Karkhanas. They were also the part of the Mughal histories. You find the evidences of these Mughal Karkhanas. They are the very important commercial development and innovations during this period. So Mughal factories and consumers goods were the specific developments of the periods in economic knowledge, and you find the evidences in these historical chronologies. So some certain features of medieval historiography would include historically consciousness developed, then royal patronage was given to the historians, autobiographical traditions flourished, then language was basically Persian remained the chief language of historical writing. Obviously, it was the court language. Then chronological and event-based writings were there. Dates were mentioned. Then use of official records for gazetteers, chronicles and the lands and grants, they were all recorded. Day-to-day activity of the government and the rulers and the local rulers were recorded. So the tradition of official records started in a new way. Then court-centered perspectives. Most of the writers used to write the eulogy of the kings and day-to-day activities of the courts. Then rise of non-official historians was also another important characteristic of medieval historiography, that educated individuals also began writing independent and analytical accounts apart from the court writers, because there could be biasness on the part of the court writers, because they were writing only in praise of the kings and emperors, but some writers out of the court were also writing and recording those aspects which were not recorded by the courtiers. Like during the time of Shah Jahan, for example, everyone was praising the construction of Taj Mahal, but during the same time the general public or general masses were suffering due to the widespread, you see that epidemics or drought was there. People were suffering the various diseases due to that. So 17 years were spent on the construction of Taj Mahal alongside the same miseries of the people. So these things were recorded by the individual historians apart from the court historians. So that was a peculiar characteristic. Then mixture of Indo-Persian cultural elements, that was very important aspect, that apart from the Indian characteristics, some Persian style was also introduced. Then moral and religious interpretation was another very important and peculiar characteristics of Mughal historiography, that they also manipulated the religious description. For example, in the two battles sometimes we find the words like Lashkar-e-Kafir and Lashkar-e-Islam, even if both the armies belong to the religion of Islam. But Mughal historians depict the army of his own king as the Lashkar-e-Islam and the army of the opponent, even if his religion is Islam, but army of the opponent is described as a Lashkar-e-Kafir. The same thing happened when Babur invaded India. The opponent was Ibrahim Lodi. And Ibrahim Lodi was also a Muslim king and Babur was also a Muslim king, but Babur told Ibrahim Lodi to his army that we are in jihad, and jihad is according to the Islamic rules against the people who are not on the path of Islam. So in that way you see that the words and the terminology are manipulated on the religious line, and they historians also manipulated the religious terminology. So this is one of the peculiar characteristics to understand the contemporary situations, that in every era many kings and rulers, whatever religion they are following, whether they are with the purpose of their patronage or their propagation or with the political purposes, they are utilizing the religion. That is to be considered, because history is always to learn from the past mistakes so that our future, our present may not be disturbing. That is one of the aspects of the Mughal historiography. Mixture of Indo-Persian cultural elements, then moral and religious interpretations and critical approach emerging, then scientific and rational outlook. So these are the some features of medieval historiography. Due to the paucity of time, we cannot go into the detailed aspect. But some selective works of history are equally important to understand that era. Tarikh-e-Firoz-Shahi by Ziauddin Barni, then Babarnama by Zahiruddin Babar, Tuzuk-e-Jahangiri, Akbarnama, Padshahnama by Abdul Hamid Lahori, then Alamgirnama, Mirza Muhammad Kazim, and then another Tabqat-e-Abgari, Muntakhabut-Tawarikh is there by Abdul Qadir Badayuni, then Iqbal-Nama-e-Jahangiri, then Muntakhabul Luav. So these are the books which will provide you an immense record and chronology of that period, where you may find the evidences of science and technology, even administration, economic, commercial activities and so on. These are all the authentic sources. Then some Persian writings across the religion, they are equally important, because it was not so that Persian and Arabic was only the language of a particular religion. Rather, Persian was the court language and Arabic was the language of the religion of Islam, but many books were also translated from Sanskrit to Arabic also. So that's why many people learned the Persian, the court language, and they also found the highest post in the Mughal courts, and they also contributed and they played a very important role in preserving and creating the knowledge traditions of that time. And today we have these names on your screen also. Chandrabhan Brahman was one of the finest scholars of Mughal period. By caste he was a Brahman, but he was the court secretary to Shah Jahan. Chahar Chaman is the monumental work by Chandrabhan Brahman. Then Giridhar Das, he was a Kaist, but he was the poet translator to Jahangir. He versified Persian adaptation of the Ramayana. Then Banwali Das Wali, he was a Hindu poet associated of Dara Shikoh circle. Dara Shikoh established his own circle where he was involved with many Pandits of Banaras, many saints, and Baba Lal Das was his guru obviously. He also learned Sanskrit and he always used to keep himself involved in such scholarly discussions. So Giridhar Das, Banwali Das, Wali, they were all in the Dara Shikoh circle. Then Mirza Manohar Goswami, he was a Rajput noble, he was a court poet also, he composed a Diwan and Masnavi in Persian language. Then Anand Ram Mukhlis, he is a very great name of Mughal period. He was a Hindu caste poet, he composed a prose works including Mirat al-Istilah, lexicographic poetic phrases. Then Lala Amanat Re Amanat, Hindu caste tradition. He belonged to Hindu caste tradition and he was a Persian poet and author. Jalwae-e-Zat is the book what he composed and poetic works in Persian. Then Jaswant Re Munshi, he was also a caste from Lahore. And then Munshi, he was a Munshi and he composed some Persian prose works and short lyrical diwan. Some other names would also include that Sahib Ram Khamosh, he was a Munshi, and large diwan like Qasidas, Ghazal, Masnavis, he all contributed it. Then Raja Todarmal, a very famous name during the Akbar's period. He was a caste and he was the finance minister to Akbar, one of the Navratnas of Akbar's. His translations of Bhagavad Purana are very important and some other translations. Then Lala Tek Chand Bahar. He was a lexicographer, Bahar-e-Ajam, he composed. Then Brindaban Das Hosgu, then Bhai Nandlal, Ishwar Das Nagar, then Bhim Des. Ishwar Das Nagar is very important for in Aurangzeb's court. He was residing, he was a chronicler of Aurangzeb's era, and he composed a very important book, Futuhat-e-Alamgiri. It is very authentic account, contemporary account of Aurangzeb's reign. So if you just have a confusion that Aurangzeb's personal accounts are being composed by Ishwar Das Nagar, what is a combination? If from today's point of view, if you assume it, we cannot even believe that Aurangzeb could believe in a person of opposite religion, and he could give a responsibility to record such an important content. Futuhat-e-Alamgiri. Futuhat means the records, the chronicles, because Aurangzeb believed in those, the scholarship of the people, apart whatever religion you belong to. So that's why it's very important to go into the history with an unbiased approach. That's very important. That's why I'm giving you these examples. Then Bhim Sen Burhanpuri, a Hindu soldier. He was a news writer for Aurangzeb's. Again, another example. Nuskhai Dilkusha, he is the memoir or the history of the Aurangzeb's period. Then Sujan Rai Bhandari, he belonged to the Khatri caste. He was a court official and compiler, Khulasatut Tawarikh and Khulasatut Insha, again in the Aurangzeb's courts. So these three people, Ishwar Das Nagar, Bhimsen Saxena and the Sujan Rai Bhandari, were almost the most important and faithful people on the part of Aurangzeb, just because of their scholarships, not because of their religion. So these are some sources and suggested readings. You may go deeper and deeper into the medieval period, because it is not possible to give the account of 800 years just within 25 to 30 minutes. So these are some just examples and glimpses what I have collected and gave you for your understanding. You should go through the authentic sources into the knowledge traditions of medieval India. So wish you all the best. I just wind up with these beautiful lines of Shah Rukh Khan. Success is not a good teacher. Failure makes you humble. Thank you very much. See you in the next lecture. God bless you. Take care.